I was about 10 years old. My mom and dad took me to Cherokee, North Carolina, and we had the good fortune to meet and have dinner with Chief Obie Sanook. I fell in love with Cherokee, and I think you will too. I'm Mike, and during the next hour, we're going to take a look at Cherokee, North Carolina, show you some fun things to see and do while you're here. Anybody got any ideas on a piece we could do just specifically about the Great Smoky Mountains?
How about trees?
Good idea, David. Then we can do a second piece about bushes. Oh, I have an idea. What about the history of the Great Smoky Mountains? Don't you think people would enjoy hearing the story behind the park?
I think you're right. There's a lot of interesting history to be found here in the Great Smoky Mountains. For example, these are considered to be the oldest mountains in the world. Around 250 million years ago, Africa and North America collided. This caused the rock to shift upward, creating the Appalachian Mountains. Then in 1828, gold was discovered in North Georgia. Well, this changed everything. The European attitude was, let's don't let them get the gold. 2 years later, President Andrew Jackson signed the Removal Act, and the Cherokee Nation was relocated to what is now Oklahoma, and their journey became known as the Trail of Tears. While the law stated all Cherokee must move west, we all know not everybody obeys the law. In this case, there was a handful of Cherokee that hid way back in the Smokies and somehow managed to survive. Then in 1889, the Qualla Indian Reservation was established. Now, what happened after that is coming up right after this.
Your grandfather brought you the real thing. Splendid the drama traces place in the world. So whether you're
sure that I'm 1/16th Cherokee Indian.
With the last name Abernathy? No, I think you're Scottish.
You got something against Scottish Indians?
Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah.
From the late 1700s and on into the 1800s, quite a few pioneers had moved into the Smokies. Because they had to have houses, furniture, fences, barns, and fuel, logging played an important role. If they were going to have anything at all outside of a garden, it had to come from a tree. Think about it. You live in a forest, what do you got? Trees. While the Smoky Mountains were a gold mine for timber, it didn't take long for the logging companies to strip these mountains bare. The only sections of forest that were overlooked were the ones that were just too hard to get to. We now call these old growth forests. This is an area where some trees are so big it takes 4 or 5 people to reach around one. Now that's a big tree. So the Smokies are bare, there's no work here, people are leaving to find employment elsewhere, and this breathtakingly beautiful portion of the eastern United States lies in limbo. Money was finally raised to purchase the 515,000 acres that make up the park, and in 1934 President Franklin Delano Roosevelt, in a dedication, announced that this area is now the Great Smoky Mountains National Park.
And now that we've learned our history lesson, let's go have some fun.